it's Esther here. Welcome to a lesson where we're going to talk about the years between World War I and World War II. So I'm talking about the 1920s and the 1930s. We also have not talked much about women, so we'll do that in this lesson where we learn about how women achieved the right to vote. So looking at the bottom of page 21 in your Discover Canada guide, we see the title, Women Get the Vote. When Canada became a country in 1867, only white men who owned property were allowed to vote, and of course, this needed to change. So women grouped together and formed a movement so they could also achieve the right to vote. It was called the Woman's Suffrage Movement. It was led by a woman named Dr. Emily Stowe, who was the first female doctor in Canada. In 1916, Manitoba was the first province to grant voting rights to women. In 1917, Prime Minister Borden gave women the right to vote in federal elections. First to women who were working in World War I, and then to women who were related to soldiers. In 1918, most Canadian women 21 and older could vote. Women in Quebec did not get the right to vote until 1940. In your guide, we see a picture of Agnes MacPhail. She was a farmer and a teacher, but became the first female member of Parliament in 1921. Very few women worked outside of their homes at this time. So achieving the right to vote and having a position in the government were very important firsts. Moving to page 22 in your guide, you're going to see the title, Between the Wars. So we're talking about World War I and World War II and the years between those two wars. World War I started in 1914 and ended in 1918, and World War II started in 1939 and ended in 1945. After World War I, the British Empire, all of the countries and areas that were colonized by Britain, developed a sort of network called the British Commonwealth of Nations, or the Commonwealth. Canada is a leader of this network. Some other countries that are part of the network are India, Australia, New Zealand, some African countries, and some Caribbean countries. Now let's talk about the 1920s. These years were economically good. In English, we call this a boom. So the 1920s were called the Roaring Twenties because business was good and most people had jobs. The stock market crash of 1929 changed everything and led to a period called the Great Depression. And of course, we know depressions are never known to be good. This time was also called the Dirty 30s because businesses were ruined. 27% of people did not have jobs, and farmers in Western Canada were affected by drought. There was no rain and a lot of dust and wind. People in the 1930s were poor, starving, and jobless. There was a need for the government to help people by providing a social safety net. Some examples of this are setting a minimum wage and a standard work week, or programs like employment insurance that help people when they lose their job while they look for another one. In 1934, a central bank called the Bank of Canada was created to manage the money supply and create a stable banking system. Canada is famous for its banking system. Immigration to Canada dropped at this time, and many refugees were turned away, including Jews trying to escape Nazi Germany in 1939. So that was our lesson about the time period between the two world wars, 100 years ago. See you in the next lesson.